island of antiquity in the middle of a bustling metropolis. In the early Middle Ages, this citadel protected the ancient city of Untitled, the predecessor of the current Shymkent. The city occupied a vast territory of 85 hectares and included residential quarters, barracks, public institutions, and temples. This is what the 14-meter-high southern gate that led to Tashkent looked like. The same met travelers from Sairam and caravans of the Great Silk Road. Today, some of these objects have been restored. Some have been turned into museums, preserving the rich history of the ancient city. These are fortification residential buildings built in the 18th and 19th centuries. Rulers and military lived here. Now, in the walls of this building, there are artifacts, witnesses of that time. You can touch the history of the ancient city in the museum. Expositions tell about the culture of Shymkent residents, so that visitors can plunge into the atmosphere of the recreated time. A diorama of the Oriental Bazaar is presented here. In the halls of the museum, you can find pottery, pots, furniture, dated for a long period from the 1st to the 19th century. At these expositions, you can find evidence of the first people living in the territory of the present-day Shymkent. This is vividly illustrated by bronze tableware dating back to the 2nd century BC. Here, you can also see a model of water pipes that were used in the 10th to 14th centuries. They carried clean and dirty water. And the octahedral house, an artificial reservoir stored in the central part of the settlement, provided residents with drinking water during the siege and served for household needs. The third hall contains exhibits of the Zoroastrian period. The results of the excavations indicate that some residents of ancient Shymkent were adherents of this religion. The fortress is designed primarily to protect the city, so there are many defensive structures and weapons. These exhibits are collected in the eastern tower, which is attached to the fortress wall in order to accommodate the lookouts. An underground shelter was built under the tower to protect the residents. In addition, scientists have found an underground passage leading to the city of Ispijab, Sairam. Among the exhibits of the museum, there is a grocery warehouse, which allowed to store supplies for a long time in case of a siege. Outside the museum, the story does not end, but continues in the open air. The ancient eastern cities were built on a similar principle. In the center, there was a fortified citadel, behind the walls of which the city of Shahristan itself was spread out. The ruins of its southwestern part have been preserved to this day. Here you can see the remains of residential buildings of the Karakhanid period. Shahristan was surrounded by city walls, behind which there were rabads, handicraft, and commercial suburbs. The history of this place stretches from the settlements of the Bronze Age to the developed modern metropolis. But this is only part of his legacy, the continuation of which will be seen by our descendants.